Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Excuse me. I think we're going to have a lot of that going on tonight. Do have a topic for tonight, if I can get through this, and it will be about COVID-19, the coronavirus, and is that affecting your long distance relationship? So if I seem under the weather, I have been home. This is actually the 14th day that I've been home, and I have not been at work since that time. And so I kind of feel like I've been quarantined myself. I've only left to go to the doctor. They started off in the emergency room, went to the doctor a couple times, and I'll go out to buy, food, if I'm craving something, but that's about it. Of course, been trying to treat this cough, but to no avail. Sorry about that. If I spit into this computer screen, then we'll be done for the night. But did want to do a live stream. I usually do these on Mondays. Like I said, I've been sick for a couple of weeks. The emergency room did swab me and tell me, and my doctor, that I do have a virus. It's not the flu, it's not the coronavirus, but it's enough to keep coughing. And the doctor said I might be coughing for a few more months after this, but he thinks I'm probably not going to be contagious when I go back to work on Monday. So it seems like I haven't really gotten much done while being home. People that are quarantined and have to stay home will have to think of something productive to do. And here I thought I'd have all this time to at least work on my channel and write stuff, but it really hasn't worked out that way. Not when you're feeling good and you're sleeping a lot. But did want to talk tonight on this relatively unannounced live stream and on a different day about the COVID-19 coronavirus and how is it affecting your love life or your long distance relationship love life, because right now you can't just get in a plane and take off somewhere and go visit her. You might have had plans already made. Usually these types of trips are made plenty of time in advance, but under the current circumstances, the person really doesn't have any choice. If they can't go, they can't go. And we know a married couple from here that went to the Philippines a couple of weeks ago. This is March 20th now, and they're stuck. They can't come back till sometime in April, and then they have to observe staying home for 2 weeks. So, for them, I wonder what their job situations will be, what accommodations they feel like they should make for them, because they can't help it. They can't come back, and when they come back, they won't be able to work for a couple of weeks. That's just the stipulations right now. Praise Journey, thank you for watching here tonight and joining me. My fiance got approved and the visa was issued, but we have no information where it is. No tracking info can be found because everything is shut down mode. Well, there you go. There's another, and I'm sorry to hear that, Praise Journey. That's another angle with all of this and the things that it affects. I mean, you can't even really foresee. You almost have to be in those situations. So here we've got a man who has a fiance visa that he is working on, and having been through that myself, you want your tracking information, whether you can get something informative online or talk to somebody, you need tracking numbers and at a couple different stages. And if people aren't working, well, I don't know how that's going to get anything but delayed. You can only hope that when it does pick up again, um, praise journey, that your petition will pick up where it left off, and that somehow the order of things doesn't get unscrambled. The community is locked. Your community can only go out for groceries. Um, I mean, the local, I haven't been out much for 2 weeks. I had to drive to the doctor. And so I went to, they're near the local, or the mall, or excuse me, where I went to get tested. Do some tests is out where the local mall is. And it was like a ghost town. I could kind of get that feeling, who knows what it was, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Normally, business as usual type of day, and just driving in the community, driving towards the shopping center area. I thought, well, it seems like there should be more traffic. This seems like a lazy Sunday or something driving around. And then I found out that the mall must not have been open. I mean, there are no cars there. The gym was closed. One of the places I just got some labs done last Saturday has closed. So I have to find a different place to go that I can do labs on a Saturday, because I need to go early, and I don't want to miss work. So I may have located another lab to go, but I'd kind of like to stick with the same place. My mother's up there coughing, so I think I made her sick while I was going through this. This is day 14. The doctor doesn't think in a couple of days I would be contagious, but we'll wait till tonight. I'll be coughing uncontrollably and all that. Hank Killiam, good to see you here tonight, Hank. Hank, I did send out a newsletter just half an hour before this started, because I wasn't planning on doing one necessarily, and then I struggled to get the links in there. There's a link in the newsletter to the most recent video, and then I pick out a classic video. Well, I tried 5 different things, couldn't get it to work, so I just sent it out with an announcement for the live stream. And the topic is COVID-19 affecting your long-distance relationship. So we'll see that if people want to chime in and talk about that tonight. I know, obviously, you turn on the TV, the radio, your computer is sending you these notifications on the COVID virus, and we're all interested, what are they going to do with our job? I mean, I haven't been at work, so I really don't know much unless I call and somebody talks to me. But, jobs are being affected, businesses, labs. My lab for weekend testing now is closed. Then I went to get some yogurt at the yogurt place, and they were closed. Everything seems to be closing down. And if that's going to help, that's great. That's what we want to do. If that would help with, slow down of this, the transmission of this. But yeah, if you can only go out for groceries, the weather's starting to turn nice. You kind of feel like you want to, it's nice and bright out there at 6:10 p.m. here. You want to, you can always go out for a walk, can't you, Praise Journey? I went out for like 5 minutes the other night, and it just got kind of cold. But if you don't need to go anywhere, it'd be nice to get some exercise, get outside anyway. But Luzon is locked down. So are you in Luzon, Praise Journey? We're all bracing for some kind of restrictions here in Midwest, but everything usually happens everywhere else first before it, gets to our part of the country. Hank says YouTube is glitching. I think lots of my live streams aren't showing up on my subscription feed. Well, we'll see. Notifications, live streams, who knows? Sometimes the statistics are really strange too. Yeah, if other people are saying the same thing, there's an issue. I've only got a couple here tonight. looks like you and Hank and Praise Journey, which is great. I did send out the live stream, which is newsletter for the live stream, which is linked up there at the top. If anybody wants to subscribe to it, have to work out these bugs, but that at least sends an email to your email box with the upcoming topic, a very recent video, a classic video, a few statistics, even though they aren't looking so good right now. I just put them out there because it is what it is, and you can see how things are going. Transportation has been shut down in Luzon, so she is having a hard time getting groceries, says Praise Journey. I don't know how people are making it in the Philippines. My fiance is in Luzon. We are unable to pick up our visa. People's livelihood are being impacted. Yeah, my wife the other day said she was concerned about this as she was scrolling through her numerous messenger contacts. And, Filipinos don't always say a whole lot. So I have to really pry her for information. What are you most concerned about, hon? And because I want to know. I want to know what's going on. Praise Journey says you can imagine how hard this is for people that support their families by providing transportation services. Yeah, in the support. Now, if there's a lockdown, even if you knew how to drive, I suppose you wouldn't be allowed to go out there. I had the thought the other day, if we could teach some family members how to drive, then they wouldn't be so affected but then, if anybody can go out, then, I could see jeepneys being shut down because, well, they can get awful crowded. It's very hard to get much social distancing in a jeepney. I never minded being in them, to be honest with you, but my wife prefers that we drive when in the Philippines, and she has rented cars and driven, as you can see in some of my videos when we've been there, last time being in December, January. So, but I guess if they're saying don't go out, it depends on what the rules are. I don't know, but that is a concern. Praise Journey, you talked about your issue with the visa. That is a concern because you already know going into it, it's going to take some time. It could be 8 months to 12 months. I know things we're taking longer now anyway, as of a few months ago before any of this happened. And if things come to a standstill, then there will be even more delay. Why? Because people aren't going to physically be there to look at and process paperwork, evidence of relationship. And I don't know, I suppose people can send in their packages, but what's going to happen to those packages? Are they more likely to get lost if business is not open as usual? Should a person just take their petition and wait until they find out? There may be a message on the USCIS website. I don't know. Maybe they don't even want to receive any petitions for the time being. And maybe it would be better to hold on to ones that haven't even been sent out yet, which is, again, a troubling thing to think about when you want to be with this woman that you've spent some time establishing a relationship with, and you can't even get to her. I'm certainly concerned about my wife's family and Davao. Yeah, if they support their families by providing transportation services, which is a lot of them, then who's going to take care of them? We did send some money to the Philippines. There's a bank there where they can get the money out, and so they have cash just in case for some reason the banks shut down for a few weeks, because there's a lot of people there and there's probably sick people in the banks. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that the banks will temporarily have to shut down. I suppose it's possible. So they've got some cash, I believe. I'm sure Aiza did her best to convince them to stock up on things. We have a bigger house there, and so there's lots of room there to stock up with. So I think we'll be okay. But if our family needs something, we'll help them. Thing is, you want to. Will this affect wire services? Well, businesses with wire services, you usually use not be open, and so you have to look for alternative ways to send money to your loved one, your Filipina that you've been communicating with, or her family. I mean, those types of transactions potentially could get interfered with as a result of the coronavirus too. Yeah, Praise Journey says, thank goodness they had their interview before the lockdown. So yeah, you're very blessed with that. So if you had your interview, and I know these interviews, Praise Journey, usually are short, then I assume everything was fine. And then she had to turn in her passport, so they can. She has to wait to get it mailed back to her. And I assume you're talking about the end of the journey, Praise Journey, where she's got the passport, and now it's just a matter of tying up loose ends before she can see you again. I have to go back up to your earlier message. Unable to pick up our visa. Oh, I see. So everything was fine, and the visa is stuck. The visa is a little stamp in the passport, allowing her. Now, Praise Journey, has your fiance gone through the Center for what do they call that? Center for Filipinos Overseas to get that. That's another sticker that you absolutely must have in your passport to be able to leave the country. My wife and I did a spousal visa back in 2015, so it's been a while. And the way we send money back there now is different than Western Union, which is what I used before to send money ahead for a wedding, and before that for her Manila interview, the hospitalization and staying in the hotel and stuff like that. So I'm glad you got that done before the lockdown. I'm glad we got back from Philippines and Tokyo, Japan, which is right before these things started. The virus started making news. Our package is going to be usually backlog. It could get crazy. Well, how about bulk buy-in boxes? I mean, those things take a long time to get there anyway, like 6 weeks, maybe more. To me, that's a long time. In fact, my wife just, I don't know if she sent one. Just a few days ago, she was preparing one, but I don't recall that the lady that comes over here to pick them up has actually gathered them yet. So that may be something we have to do, Praise Journeys. Tell my wife, call this lady up or text her and ask her if we can even send the box. I mean, you don't want it to show up 2 years later. And who knows? But yeah, this is just another way. Sending money could be affected by this COVID-19. Bulk buy-in boxes, transferring money. But good, you say their money transfer pickups are still in operation. And that's something we hope is not going to be affected. Our attorney is waiting until they receive the visa, and then they're going to schedule her CFO. Now, I don't know. Yeah, so apparently this happened just in time for the process to slow down handing back and forth of the visa. And, hopefully it doesn't take unreasonable long time to get your Center for Filipinos Overseas, if that's what it called. Maybe it's Conference for Filipinos Overseas, CFO. But that has to be done. And I'm sorry to hear that, but you at least you are a good distance into the whole operation. This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. We're talking tonight about the COVID-19 virus, coronavirus, and since my channel is about primarily finding love overseas, right now with the situation with the planes, a lot of people are finding it impossible to even get out. So, of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, has somebody just began this process and now this happens? Are they almost complete? Are they halfway through? Is this going to make somebody think, you know what, maybe I'm just going to give up on this whole idea? Because certainly, when you ask somebody to consider going on a plane to another country thousands of miles away, and then this happens and you're not even allowed to leave, then I hope that people have a relationship started that they can, maybe in some cases it'll be helpful to pump the brakes and continue to talk to this person and find out if you two are a good match for each other. Praise Journey says she barely got out of Manila before the lockdown. I was freaking out because she had 7 hours to get out of Manila and return to her hometown. We fortunately was able to get a bus in time. So praise God, praise Journey. She was able to handle that. I'm sure it was just mass hysteria around there to get out. As much as somebody might be prepared for all this when it finally happens, then, well, I'm sure it might be a little bit less calm. Praise Journey says Lazada has a message on their site that says they're not shipping during this time. So I'm sure all deliveries are impacted heavily. Well, there's another aspect of this and how it affects people's lives. And, I mean, at this point, since my wife is with me, we're thinking about, her family, my family, our family in the Philippines. I know Aiza has done her best to prepare them, but, there's, depending on what you see, 1.5 to 2 million people there. Now, it is spread out over a large distance, so it's not like the 10 million in Manila, I think there is, that are kind of more squeezed together. But, how is this going to affect jobs? If they have these, not curfews, but lockdowns where they don't let people out, and if they can't work, that's really bad news when times can be tough enough as they already are. In our case, again, I hope my wife is telling her family, don't worry about a thing. We still have to find a way to get money to them if they need it, and hopefully, these money delivery services will continue unabated. So I know in some places in the Philippines, you're not able to go out after like, what is it, 8 p.m. I heard, and then somebody else said 10 p.m. Or at least not younger people anyway, maybe anybody, I don't know. And whatever I heard 3 days ago could be different today. I don't know if Hank is still here or not. Just wanted your guys' thoughts on how this coronavirus would be affecting somebody else's long distance relationship. In my case, we're mostly concerned about very long distance relationship with a woman from another country. And I mean, obviously, you can't go see her. The good thing is you can still use Skype, Viber, Facebook Messenger, and those sorts of things. And if somebody maybe is moving along too quickly, this would give them some time to slow down. I also think this is a good time to mention that I do have several videos with lots and lots of questions that you can ask your Filipina. And I would say, excuse me, I would say if there's 300 questions on there, I have probably only talked to my wife now of almost 5 years about probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 of those questions. I might be able to answer them now, being married for almost 5 years, even though I didn't never have got around to asking her those questions. We got married, engaged in 18 days, married in less than 8 weeks. So if we ever got locked down here, where my wife wasn't allowed to work and I wasn't allowed to work, then that would be a good time for us to go over those many, many questions, because there are some very good questions there. I have a playlist about questions to ask. They will be when you first are contacting her, communicating with her, and then when you get a little bit more serious, then before you marry her. Certain things you need to dig into a little bit. And I've got one that I haven't made yet about questions to ask your Filipino wife after you are married to her. So they're all different questions based on different stages of the relationship. So if somebody is maybe delayed in getting to meet them for the very first time or an additional time, those questions are very good, because I think now would be the time to really see about getting serious about that person. And so you have to ask some leading questions to separate, contenders from pretenders. Praise Journey says, I think the Philippines are doing a great job ensuring that people don't stockpile or increase prices on items. Yeah, that could happen. In the U.S., we need to have stronger policies to ensure people can get basics like toilet paper. I just took some codeine a few hours ago, and I felt like I just got put in a sleeper hold after that. I thought, well, I better do something or I'm going to sleep the day away. So I thought I'd work on uploading a video, which I did, called Is Being in Love Overrated? And I'm going to be doing some videos asking questions like that. That's just one I released today, and I thought, well, I haven't done a live stream in it seems like 5 years, so it's just been 2 weeks, but I wanted to do one today. I'm grateful for 4 people that are here today in this surprise live stream on a Friday. Yeah, thanks, Praise Journey. I want to have something to talk about when we do these live streams. I appreciate the thumbs up there. I really do. And we're just talking about the effect of COVID-19 on long distance relationships, because there are some things to talk about. It certainly affects your wife's family if she's in the Philippines. Now, that's not your relationship with her as far as are you going to marry her, but it can affect your relationship with her every day if she's going to be stressed out about what is going on back home. And so, Praise Journey, I'm glad to hear that. You think they're doing a good job of that. Cousin of mine just said they couldn't find toilet paper. And then when they did find a place with toilet paper, they were rationing it out to only one package. Could be 4 rolls, could be 24 rolls. But I mean, in time, I may have to try the scoop, little scoop method. I suppose I could just for practice, but I suppose, you can always do that. My wife's not worried about running out of toilet paper, but we've got canned foods. We've got toilet paper. We've got batteries. People might want to get their meds ahead of time. I know you can get 3 months supplies if you ask for it. Um, if you have meds to take, certainly you don't want to see those shut down. I think there's more home deliveries now of medications. I went to the lab or to the pharmacy last night to get this codeine and what else are we starting today? Um, oh, it's a taper. I've taken it lots of times. Some kind of burst taper. I can't remember what it is. But I went there last night, and oh well, because of the uh, COVID-19 virus, they were helping us by closing an hour early. Well, that didn't help me very much. So I did go back today and grab that stuff. Price Journey, so you don't have to worry about your girlfriend in the Philippines running out of food at stores there. Well, that's good. Just hope that we can get the money to her when she needs it, and hope that she has her usual way, or the family has the usual way of earning money. Often money is pooled between whoever is living there at the house. And if anybody's going to have any trouble getting to work, that's going to affect everybody. Praise Journey says, regarding questions to ask, have you done a video on how much you should send home to support the family? This topic can lead to a lot of arguments. I don't recall out of 432 videos which, if I've done one specifically on how much to send home. I know I have talked about it throughout the videos. I think it's a given, I do anyway, that you should support her. And if you've never been to the Philippines, going there will show you why you should help her. A job there can involve 10-hour days, 12-hour days, and full-time work can result in $5 a day. If it's really good job, $10 a day. But you might have to be in a big place like Cebu or Manila to earn that kind of money, and maybe work a lot of hours at a call center and have very good voice and interpersonal skills and English to make $10 a day. So how much to send? Well, what are you thinking about there? You're thinking about, I don't want to send more than I need to send. I don't want to be a cheapskate and not send enough. So basically what I did was I would kind of let my wife handle that, and she would tell me, of course, what it was for. Now, the usual number among Philippines vloggers that you'll see tossed about is about $200 to $300 a month, unless there is some kind of medical situation that came up, which is something else that really is a part of this topic. Then $200 to $300 a month is very sufficient. I'm not talking about cheap either, because they might not earn that much. What's $5 a day? $5 a day times 30 days would be $150. So $200 divided by 30 days would be about $6.33 a day. So sending that much and not having to go out and earn that would be plenty. Okay, as far as just wanting to help. Beyond that, if there's specific things, then let's say, for example, because I know a lot of routine pardon me, routine medical costs are not that expensive. If somebody says, well, a family member needs to go to the doctor for a checkup or go to the dentist and they need $300, that's way, 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 way too much. My wife got, what do you call that? I can't remember what you call it. A bridge, okay. A dental bridge. Now, here in the United States, that would not be covered in our dental insurance, and it would have cost her, I think it was $10,000. So the insurance company said, yes, she's on my insurance, but, pre-existing conditions. So I told her, well, yeah, it'd be $10,000, and if it's really that important, we'll do it. And she said, no, I'll go to the Philippines. Well, she did it for like $25. That's right, $25 over there. And she wears it. I don't think she's totally happy with it, but, costs are going to be a lot less. Going to the doctor is not going to cost a lot of money. And hopefully it's something you can trust your girlfriend, fiance with. Just ask to know, what is it for? And what did it cost? And if you have to, behind her back, do a little research. I don't know. I feel like you should trust them. But that doesn't mean you have to be totally blind about it. It's just that if they're asking for large amounts of money for medical, there's a chance that's not really needed. Now, if it's for something like cancer, a heart attack or a stroke, something like that, yeah, it can be really expensive. So I need to get back up here, keep up with comments on this lovely and strange Friday night. It looks like the sun's just coming back. It snowed last night. We go from about 68 to snow the next day, and now looks great. Just Midwest weather. So as far as the money, I think you should help. I don't see any reason to say, well, they survived all these years without me, honey. That's just too bad, because she'll drop you like a hot potato if you do that. And you should want to help, and you should realize how bad things can be in the Philippines. I've been there 4 times now myself, so the shock value is over. But I realize the need to help your girlfriend or wife in the Philippines, or fiance. So appreciate the Get Better praise journey. He says, I really love my fiance. Me too. Love my wife. She's always calm. She has taught me not to panic when things like this come up. In America, it's so easy so easy to want everything now. She has taught me the value of patience, and that's how they grow up. Patience without a lot, having to go to work, earn what they have, work, live day by day. And praise journey, my wife's the same way. I mean, she wants to stay on top of this and help her family, which she has, with money on hand in case something happens with the banks, stocking up, stuff like that. There's a newborn in the family, so I certainly hope that medically they can get everything that they need, because I think here in America, the hospitalization situation is different. They're asking people not to come in. If they're not well, they're postponing surgeries unless it's for necessary to spare your life. So people with some serious situations might not be getting the help they need, and if it's a relative in the Philippines, well, that's a big concern to me, and that's going to be a big concern to my wife as well. And this is all kind of brand new and just getting started. So I guess just keep in mind with this coronavirus, if you're looking if you have a relationship with someone in the Philippines, she's going through more family stress and of a different kind than she has before. So I guess you need to keep that in mind if she's acts a little more preoccupied with things than she has been in the past. But yeah, my wife's typically calm, and I'm the one that kind of, well, I have to say past tense because I'm a lot more calm now since I married her. But I can see what you mean. She has taught me the patience, just like your fiance has. Hank says I could say I don't send any money for a family, as in supporting them. Any money that I do send is only for her, and she does have a job, and that's fair for you guys. And I hope that works. And as far as the entire family, um, they say whoever they is, you marry a Filipina and you would marry the entire family. Well, that would be more family than. Oops, we just got a glitch here on the screen. So I think everybody's still there, and I think the live stream is still going on. Maybe I'm infecting the computer here. I don't know. But I better get up here before I forget. Oh, an entire family. Um, yeah, that's usually going to consist of the people that she is living with. Could be mama, papa, could be a couple of siblings, and that may be all it is. Um, that's just part and parcel of dating a Filipina. I think you need to be open to helping her and open to helping, and I mean helping the family. If your girlfriend, fiance feels like it's really necessary. I mean, if you get married, yeah, for the rest of your marriage, you're in a situation where you're probably going to have to help with something at some time. But you also need to be very frank about your financial situation. Show her in black and white. This is where our money is coming from. Or this is what our retirement will look um, like I do with my wife. I mean, I show her a spreadsheet I've had for like 14 years, and keep saying I'm not going to do it, and then I keep doing it, to show her this is the money that's coming in here, and I don't count her money on it, and this is what's going out, and so anything we send has to come from somewhere. So it can cause issues in your relationship. Just hope that you marry someone that's realistic enough to know that your husband isn't going to want to support um, 10 other people. My wife's got, everybody is working unless they've got children, and need to be a mother. And so that's good. They may be affected by this though. So that may put us in a situation where I do have to help, or we do have to help. My wife will want to do all the helping. Um, but yeah, I always want to help too. Hank Williams says uh, his girlfriend has a professional degree, and yeah, my wife she went to college, has a college degree, was a teacher. Hank says she never asks either, and would never accept a high amount. A good Filipina not want to will not want her friend, boyfriend, husband, fiance to feel like she is taking advantage of her. She's smart enough to know that there's a lot of that happens in the Philippines, and she doesn't want you to think you're one of them. And it's probably not easy for her to say no, I'll be all right. I mean, unless she's very determined. This is the type of person I want my husband, potential husband, to think that I am, and I'm not going to be using it for cash, even though I know she might say I know a lot of people who do that. He's thinking I'm going to do that maybe, but I'm not. And so that's good. That's good for you, Hank. My wife was the same way. We argued early on the most about her refusing my help. And then once we finally got married, And I got back from the Philippines. I was like, you have to take my help now, hon. You just have to. I'm not going to take no for an answer. You're my wife now. So that changed the dynamics a little bit. Praise Journey says, I know my fiance was working, made like $50 a week. It's so crazy. I love supporting her, but it's easy for, brothers and sisters to ask for support also. Many times in the Filipino family, you might have, let's say, I don't know, half of the people that are able to work will work, and maybe the others will go to school. And then maybe they'll trade places and they switch off so that the others can get an education. Kind of drags things out, but they are supporting each other, and that's very common. Just seeing some messages here. Yeah, praise Jordan. I guess more of what's reasonable to support just the parents of the entire family. Got to support the parents, since you asked, because they're number one on her list of all the family members. There is a tremendous sense of duty and responsibility to her parents. So they may even come before she does. So I think if you draw a hard line and say something like, I'm only supporting you, not your parents, she will just move on without you. Embracing her parents, wanting to help her parents, that's about the smartest thing you can do, I think, with your money and your Filipina. That's up to you. I mean, I think we just want to make sure they've got rice. Want to make sure that any kind of necessary medical treatment gets taken care of right away, because things can get worse if you neglect that. And I hope that that's something right now that is not getting put on the back burner in the Philippines, and it very well might, depending on the situation of the hospital rooms. But entire family, I mean, again, you put in, cousins and aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces, and they're all part of the family. But I don't know of anybody that goes to that length. Mostly it's going to be, other than her, the priority would be parents, and then some siblings as needed. But, don't be afraid to talk about the money issue. Just listen to her, be patient, and try to realize that it's probably very real, the things that she needs. And if she's, not asking for 300 or 400 a month, I would say that's a good sign. I know some guys will send 300, 400, 500 as $100 a month, which is, from what I know about the cost of living there, is outrageous. That's just not necessary to send that much. But think of the parents. That's number one, I think, as far as her family. Could be more important than she is to herself. And Praise Journey asks, Hank, is your fiance still in the Philippines? Yeah, Praise Journey, no problem. I'm here to talk. Aiza's at work. She'll be back in about 4.5 hours, and I'll probably still be up. So no problem with that. We can talk about COVID-19 effect on long distance relationships, which we have. We can talk about anything, before I sign off. We can certainly talk about that, sending money back home. But Praise Journey, these are topics that often are beaten to death in the Philippines vlogging sphere, and I try to talk about things that aren't so overdone. so well done. Just like I like my beef, rare or medium rare, not something that's been, overdone and is, you know, tastes like eating shoe leather or something. So, but that's a fair comment or topic. And so I would say, be reasonable. Don't shut her off. You can help her. Um, just make sure you know what it's for. I would wait for her to decide to show you receipts and stuff like that, rather than jumping in and heading her off the path and say, "Now I want you to show me these receipts." Wait and see if she'll do that first, because that then you'll learn something from her that way. So wait and see if she volunteers to explain and prove where the money is going. So yeah, an amount, a couple hundred a month is very helpful, very, very helpful. I think it should help. I think you should be open to helping your parents, simply because how important they are to your Filipina. And beyond that, just have to talk, and a lot of that will be depending on, how much you actually can help her. Everybody's situation is different. Hank says yes, plan on doing the where did that go? CR1 process. As soon as I go to the Philippines, once this pandemic is over, already met a person, everything. So no issue sending money to her. Well, that's good, Hank. Hopefully, it sounds like you weren't planning on going anytime soon, and can easily wait until this is over. Who knows? I mean, are you in your mind thinking this year still? It's only mid-March. Um, I'd like to think things will be better by then, but who knows? Could be a full year. Personally, this is what, March 2020. I would like to go back in 2021, let's say within a year or so, but then we're getting to the really, really hot weather, March, April, May, June, in the Philippines. But I'm kind of I'm kind of itchy to go back again myself. Praise Journey says that would be great. I hear if you wait 2 years after you get married, that no adjustment of status is required, and she will get her green card immediately on arrival. I have not heard that. Um, so that's something for Hank to look into. He says, I think as long as you have met in person, yeah, it's okay to send money. Just don't support the family, or else it becomes a habit, and they'll get used to that, no doubt about it. Yeah, I always enjoyed helping my wife, and I enjoy helping her family, and um, my wife is very, very happy when I help. She appreciates it a lot, and you know, I think that's just been those have been opportunities that have been good for our marriage. Yeah, the smallest amount of money can go a long way over there. That is true. When she gets here, praise her, and I want her to send the money. Sharon's home to the Philippines. I totally support that decision. I will definitely help send also. And praise journey, that's what we do. My wife sends. We don't have any hard and fast rules. I mean, we've been married almost 5 years now, so um, things get a little looser as you've been married longer. Where I might be balancing the checkbooks and see something, and if I don't remember us talking about it, I'll just ask her, what was this for? Try not to be threatening or intimidating or anything like that. Um, uh, but that's just us. You've been married longer. You're probably going to have some money sent because, well, it's okay. We've done this many times. My husband will be okay with it, but obviously if something gets out of the norm as far as an amount, um, you want her to talk to you about it. But yeah, that's the deal. Like I said, why don't I include my wife's earnings in our spreadsheet? Well, because I mean, her car, um, which is what, 2 years old now, is in there. Our house in the Philippines is in there. Her own help for the family is in there. So she sends that support. Um, so it's really not affecting ours. And I've helped as well. So you just have to, I think, be generous. I've always said that being generous is a good thing. I want her to be generous. Of course, if you don't have it, you can't give it. So you need to be on the same page and make sure that when you send the money, it's okay with both of you. But I did not know that about waiting 2 years after you get married. Um, but now I don't know actually, Praise Journey, if when you're married, are you talking about fiance visa, I guess, and then getting married and then waiting? We did the spousal visa. There was no adjustment necessary. So yeah, that may be something for that goes with the fiance visa part of it. Hank, exactly. It's easy for people to get dependent, not want to work. Yeah, I think it's good investments to purchase a passport for family members so they can work abroad. Well, I haven't even talked to my wife about that. Don't know if that's something they would want to do. But yeah, I suppose there's work visas and things like that. Then there's contracts, and they might not want to get away from the family as very close as they are. Um, they might not want to, and I would understand why. Hopefully, they'll never be forced to be in a situation where they have to get away from their family. Hank says, I don't want to reveal too much because of privacy reasons, but I would say my situation is not the typical Filipino family setup that most foreigners fall into. She has only one sibling who is older than her. Sometimes both parents are no longer around. Some people say that's the most desirable, just to because of the financial thing. But then you also miss out on the opportunity to show her how generous you can be and how much you care about her family at the same time. Hank says it's understandable for a Filipino to want to be able to help her mom and or dad, but she has to realize her husband and children take first priority once she moves to the States. If they have children, then I think they will. We were in the airport one other time. We went to the Philippines, and Aiza was talking to a Filipina, and then I was talking to her, and of course they're asking us, do you have any kids or children? And we said no. And they were encouraging us to have children and how wonderful that was. And that this lady in the airport told us, she was a Filipina, that once she started her family in the States with her husband, I think it was Oklahoma, that she told her family back home, no more support. My family here comes first. And I know a Filipino American Fil-Am couple here who don't live too far from us. They've got 3 children of their own, and that was the rule. We can't send money back now. We have our own family. So I guess if you can manage to have your own family still here, that might change that giving dynamic to some degree. Yeah, it's a good idea what you were saying about receipts. Praise Journey says, well, I mean, hopefully she'll want to prove it to you, I guess. Um, if she thinks that's a good idea to show you receipts, okay, well, have her show you those receipts. On the other hand, if you were to ask, just very politely ask, do you mind showing me that receipt from the emergency room or hospitalization? And if she hem and haws and avoids that, then that would be possible red flag, no doubt about it. Praise Journey, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. I agree. If our American families were in poverty, we would feel the same way about wanting to help. And that's like almost a um, hypothetical situation here because it's just not the same thing. I know some guys may say, well, just look for somebody that's not in that situation. Look for somebody that's got a really good job. Well, I will just tell you here, you two people that are listening here tonight, that the better her situation and her family situation is, the less likely that you are going to be a part of her life. And that's just the truth. Praise Journey says most Americans don't realize how good we actually have it here. I know, because what we would consider poverty level would not be considered poverty level in the Philippines. I mean, it would blow their mind what people are getting here in America from social services. So we do have it good here. Nonetheless, my wife would like to retire in the Philippines when I'm able to retire. That would be about 4 years. Actually, less than 4 years to retire, but I don't think you can retire and then just jump on a plane and leave. There's the problem of all your belongings, your house. How often are you going to come back? Do you need to store something somewhere? I don't know. But, as the days quickly go by, we'll be closer to that kind of decision. But yeah, she wants to live in the Philippines, and we have a house there ready to go. And, part of me wishes we could just go there right away. We told my mother, while she lives with us, we're not going to leave her here. We're not going to abandon her here. We're not ready to go anyway. But what's 4 years? Nothing. Nothing at all. Very, very fast. Hank says, I agree with that. Like in my case, my fiance had no opportunity to migrate to Canada via her family who lives there. She didn't, quote, need me. She was in a good situation already. So I certainly wasn't her ticket out of the Philippines. Well, and there are times, Hank, that those situations can actually backfire for the foreigner because if the woman is in a good situation, and there are many times she just doesn't give the foreigner a chance or an opportunity. It's the ones that really need someone that will give him that opportunity, and it's more likely that way than a well-educated Filipina with a decent job that she would show interest in a foreigner. That's less likely. It could still happen, obviously. The way you're describing, that can still happen. But if a guy is only looking for that, he may find himself on the outside looking in, because it's true. The Elvis factor has largely worn off in most of the Philippines these days, unless it's a place where they rarely see a foreigner. Hank says, I think me being relatively younger was just an advantage of his, and having the game goals like wanting to have children, get married, etc. You got the trifecta there: being younger, wanting to get married, wanting to have children. And this is what a Filipino wants. And the guy that actually wants to have children, he moves way to the top of the list. And I did an interview with Christine from Christian Filipina just a few weeks back. Might want to check that out. It's just a little over 30 minutes long. If anybody hasn't, ask her some questions about younger men in Filipinas. Excuse me. And as I nearly pass out, I think this is a big advantage for guys. I think a lot of times younger man doesn't think of it that way, but I think it is. I think I don't know if I'd call it advantages, but if they feel like they have no opportunity with Filipinas because it's an older gentleman's game, that's not true. I think if there were more younger, serious minded men, there would be more younger women who change their dating age criteria to that of a younger man. And I think there's enough women out there to so that a younger man like Hank or even less, some guy in his mid upper 20s, I think they can find someone there too. um, I think there are advantages. I mean, I've done videos on young men, and there's more that I can do. Again, these are not topics that you're going to typically read about, you know. um, and so this topic, you know, reasons that your Filipino wife could work or should work in the Philippines is a topic I did. I think it's only been viewed about 114 times. But you know, I think it'd be unfair to the Filipinos just to say, "Look, now that you're with me, quit working," and just yank that rug out from under her. And you have to watch the video for why. But there are some things that are good for her in working, even if she isn't making a lot. So that may be something she gets away from in the future. But I don't know that it's a necessity for her to just drop her job right now. That could hurt her with sense of well-being and being able to contribute herself to contribute to her family. That is very important to her self-respect, her relationships there. Have to think twice before telling her just to get out of the workforce. You know, if that's her decision, that's great. But I would be careful about wanting to yank her out of the workforce. But younger guys, I wish younger guys would. Now, about 2/3 of my viewers, watch minutes, I should say, are by young guys between 25 and 34. I don't get that impression personally, never have, but I know there are some. I don't know that they're leaving a lot of comments, but if they're watching, that's good. I want them to know that, you know, don't wait till you're 53 like I was and alone for so many years that you know think about dying or something to investigate having a relationship with a woman from another country. You know, wouldn't that be great to be married to somebody your own age that you really like? I mean, I'm not saying uh, that it's not a wonderful thing because I married a woman who was 27 years older, but once you're into it for a while, you start thinking, well, you know, it's not going to be a very long relationship, and can even be a little disturbing thinking like, well, boy, how many more years do we have left? And even if we retire early, um, what kind of shape am I going to be in? You know, how long will it be before she has to bury me after that? Um, but you know, if you're younger, then you never know what's going to happen in life. But you know, at least you'd have theoretically a lot more time together to build that family, and that's a good thing too. Hank says she has a 21-year-old cousin, has graduated university, seeking a serious foreign guy under 30. Good to hear that. Keyword serious. So they're quality Filipinas, and I met her cousin in person, can vouch for her. Um, and I wonder, I mean, if she thinks her odds are very good. Obviously, there has to be younger guys out there that believe that, you know, it's worth looking at a Filipina. Don't know their money situation. I just know when we're younger, we tend to blow a lot of money, and it's something to think about. I know there are some younger guys, you know, 20s and 30s, and they say, I've looked at these websites. All these women are interested in is the older guys, And that's not true. There are some that are younger. And what does it hurt? And a lot of times they will say, well, their age group is adjustable. She might say, I don't know, 40 to 60 or 50 and above, but she might be willing to listen to somebody younger. If somebody younger can make a connection with her, she might forget about the older guy. Younger guys have more years to make money, whereas an older gentleman likely to be on a fixed income. There are obvious reasons why a younger man might appeal to her. And look, just because I had an age gap marriage does not mean that I'm saying that's the best way for everyone, or that all Filipinas want that, or all men want that. I think there's plenty to go around. So we did that interview, talked a little bit about younger men and Filipinas, because why not give yourself a chance if you're a younger man, and communicate with some women. If you're on a dating site, even if they say that's not what they're looking for, don't be a pest. But it doesn't hurt you to talk to them. But you'll still need the same qualities that are going to work for an older guy or any marriage. And you got to be serious about marriage and not a player. You got to be serious about wanting to start a family, because that's super important to a Filipina. You move to the head of the line if you want to have a family with her. And I think if you're younger guy, that's another feather in your cap. So I hope to do some more videos, uploads about younger men getting involved with this, because nobody talks about it. Maybe younger guys aren't serious about getting married, but I just would like to think that's not the case. I didn't do this when I was younger. I want to say wasted, but God doesn't waste any pain. But I was 53 before I had my chance with my wife. I couldn't be happier with this woman. I would hate to be without her. I love her very much. I love her family. I need her very much. I mean, she is an amazing, amazing woman, and all the time and attention and love I've given her has paid off. So, and I'm an older guy, and I think she wishes I was younger so we had more time together. A Filipina is open to a younger guy. A younger guy will just need to pursue that one. So, Hank, I'm glad you said that. I'm not saying, hey, older guys shouldn't marry Filipinas, because I want what's best for her, and I want what's best for the foreigner. But I just don't understand why younger men wouldn't want to pursue a Filipina. And if they say, well, younger men aren't interested in getting married, they should be. They should be. I mean, what is the legal age for marriage? Okay, get married then. Why wait till you're 25, 30 years old? I mean, I know society doesn't talk about that, so I will. I have a small platform here to talk about, marital things, and I would say get married as soon as you can. However, you have to be committed to that relationship. You probably need to have somebody mentor you when you're really young, but that's normal anyway. You want people to go to, parents or, somebody to mentor you, get help with. I mean, I do too at my age. I have someone I can go to and ask for advice when I need it. And younger people need that too. So I'm all for that. So you guys, if you want to take the opportunity to ask me about anything else, we certainly can. Um, I know I usually do these on Mondays. Um, Tried a Friday night here. Um, I don't have any ability to do a post because I don't have 1,000 subscribers, so I can't say, "Hey, join me in 24 hours for a video." I mean, a live stream. So we have the newsletter, which I usually send out within 24 hours of the live stream. I put that one together hastily tonight because I wasn't planning on doing one. I was kind of itching to get together and talk with people. So Hank and Praise Journey, I'm glad you had some time tonight, and it appears that you were the only ones, but that's okay. Love Beyond the Sea is here to help, and I hope to be doing that um, till the day I die. Um, I know it's disappointing, being in the Philippines from what December 26th until about the 18th of January. The watch minutes have gone down by about 50%. Views are down about 70%. Um, and that's from when I was in the Philippines. So what that shows me is that being in the Philippines, just having my feet on the ground in the Philippines makes a substantial difference. So what I want to do is keep making videos. I got lots of topics I can use, but it looks like it, that short of moving to the Philippines and doing these videos, that it's going to be an uphill climb to be successful. And by that, I mean to influence people. The more subscribers, the more viewers, the more influence, this channel can have. So you guys and anyone who sees this eventually, although usually live streams aren't watched much after the fact, let people know if you like Love Beyond the Sea. Tell them about it, because I don't do this just to kill time, and I want it to be successful. I want there to be younger guys and middle-aged guys and older guys talking about their relationships with their Filipinas and foreign women. And I really don't get many emails like I used to, whatever that means. I mean, I don't want to be bombarded with emails, especially when I go back to work on Monday. But it's one way of knowing that you're helping and that people are watching. So it does get discouraging, of course. But I know from being out in the Philippines what just being there can do for the channel. It really elevates the channel. The main thing, though, is going to be content. I don't really want to be repeating topics. I want to come up with newer stuff and different stuff, and talking to people like here, where they just, ask me something you don't want to ask somebody else. We'll see if I want to answer it. I probably will. The journey, welcome the journey. Been same-age relationships that were absolutely miserable, and the journey has made a very good comment here, and I hope that I was not. I mean, I wasn't making that comment an all-inclusive comment, and I appreciate the comment, the journey, and we'll talk about that here because I agree with you. He says back in those days, and I was young too, believe it or not, both of us were clueless in the relationship. I know that's true. That's true, and then we could get into why that is. I mean, a lot of it is comes down to parenting, but a lot of young people with good parenting don't always listen to them either. So, thing is, it's never going to be easy. But you're right. I mean, when I was younger, when I had my last relationship before my wife, I knew nothing. There would be no Love Beyond the Sea type YouTube channel because I knew nothing. I knew nothing. So I continued to learn all those years. I was alone. Now I've been married for almost 5 years, and I don't react the way now at age 58 as I did back then. And I can look back in the past and say, okay, well, now I know why that didn't work. Boy, I really screwed that up. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this, but I didn't know. So you're right. Nevertheless, being married, let's say at 18 or 20 years old, people say, um, well, you gotta finish school first. Got to finish, or I should say, let's say you go to college, then you got to put it off even more because you got to get a good job. Well, and then you got to make a certain amount of money. Well, then you're going to be 25, 30 years old, and it's, my opinion, that's just a long time. Now, I know some of you are going to push back and say, well, I wanted to get married young. I wanted to get a girlfriend at least when I was in my 20s, and nobody would have me. That happens a lot these days in the West, and it's sad. I think that, when people are able to get married young, they'll be forced to grow up in a hurry, have children, have more children earlier, develop the relationship. Marriage and children is supposed to bring two people closer together, not tear them apart. As we see a lot of times, here in the United States where I live. But I don't think getting married at 28 or 30, after you've done all these other things, which may not be all that important, should necessarily, come before getting married. So the journey, I appreciate you saying that. I know when I was younger, I didn't know anything either. But young people still, many of them get married and they stay married. Now you want to involve your parents' advice. That's one thing, but by the same token, you need to get under their influence where they just guide you. You don't run to them for safety. They don't take you back in. They let you sink or swim, but they can give you their advice, but they got to let you work out your problems. And they'll have them in those days. But, I want to push back on the idea that, marriage is for some reason outdated. It's not a good idea anymore. I don't believe that. So yeah, you get married younger, you're going to need some help, but it doesn't mean it's going to end in disaster. I suppose young people can make good choices too. Hopefully they have they have good parents that will help them with this. But yeah, I would just wish I could have got married at 12 or something, but I wanted to get married real bad at 24, 25, and it ended up being 53. So it was tough. Wouldn't want that for anybody. But we survived. The journey says in the last 2 years, my younger fiance has grown tremendously. She knows now how to track her finances and budget now. These are things I was clueless about when I was younger. Yeah, me too. I didn't budget until I was, I had to be close to 40 before I actually did that. And I started with envelopes. A guy at work at that time was, I just had a dream about him, believe it or not. I haven't seen him in decades. And I had a dream about him and I working in the old department. He was kind of a miser, but he did finally talk me into budgeting and then seeing a financial counselor. But I was like 40 something before I did that. But I was stupid when I was young. So while there's still time, I'd like to have a YouTube channel that would help people, even young people, make better decisions, maybe have a different perspective. I want to influence with this channel. It's not about um, entertainment. I want it to be an influence. So I'm glad your fiance has grown tremendously. I'll bet my wife has grown in the nearly 5 years we've been together, being in different situations, being on the other side of the fence, so to speak. And the journey of me being older, I've learned a lot from her as well. And, when you're both younger, let's say you're 18 years old, fresh out of high school, getting married. I mean, if the guy loves her, I think she'll respond to him. They'll get through their problems together, get that family started. That can help, should help. And I just think they're going to miss out on a lot of misery being married younger. But just like an older man, you have to make a good choice. Making a good choice, I think, can be very difficult for a young person because the sex drive, being what it is, can make you really stupid, do stupid things, make stupid decisions. Um, but the Bible talks about rejoicing with the wife of your youth. I don't think the Bible would be in favor of people deciding, well, I'm just going to wait till I'm older and get married. I think it would recommend, all things being equal, getting married as young as early as you can. Just my opinion on that. The journey says, I love how we are quick to forgive each other and do not blame each other. We always use disagreements as an opportunity to grow. My ex, who was close to my age, always wanted to be right. Yeah, so annoying. And sometimes that can happen when you're older. The journey, and people have egos, but I like what she said there about being quick to forgive. In fact, the Bible says we are to be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. So if we're swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, probably going to be able to see and learn and understand what the other person is saying so that we can avoid, egos and fighting and who's right. And it's not about who's right. It's about what's best. So yeah, if you are quick to forgive each other and don't blame each other, you've taken some major steps in maturity there. And that's something that young people need to realize. What are some key things? If you're 18 years old and you get married, your high school sweetheart, forgive each other. You're not perfect. Be patient, be kind, be forgiving, be unselfish, manage your temper. Don't be looking around. Um, confide in each other to work through your problems. Get the right kind of friends. Be around the right kind of people. Be open to what your parents would say because hopefully they still care about you. But you got to work things out. So that's great to hear that you forgive each other and you do not blame each other. And I like that too. Disagreements are an opportunity to grow. I say that to my wife. Hon, these disagreements or arguments, they don't feel good. They're ugly, but there's things we can learn from them. Saying I'm sorry, not just say you're sorry, but what are you sorry for? I'm sorry for doing this because, not just I'm sorry I did this because I got caught, or I'm sorry I did this because you're unhappy. I'm sorry I did this because it was wrong of me. This is what I should have done. This is what I'm going to be doing in the future. That's excellent. That's what everybody needs to do. Use disagreements as an opportunity to grow. Don't focus on being right. There have been a couple times, I had to say, okay, well, I think I'll let Aiza do this, and maybe she'll learn for herself, depending on how it turns out, that, you know, maybe she should have listened to me more. But I'll let her see what happens, and that way she can, she'll respect me if she realizes, I think maybe hubby was right about this. I'm just making a couple examples in 5 years of marriage. But yeah, you don't want to control your spouse. That's a biggie. Don't control her at any age. And I think young people can grow. I think we have to believe that young people, guys in their 20s, girls in their 20s, can work it out. People are meant to have relationships, whether they're from the United States of America or she's from the Philippines or Dominican Republic or somewhere else. People want to be together. There are certain things they're going to have to do to make it work out. So yeah, forgiving each other. Don't worry about who's right. Make a good choice, have good friends, good influences, learn together. It's a wonderful thing. I'll never get that opportunity to say, yeah, I married at 20, 22, 25. And now I've been married 40 years or something. Well, I don't know. Who understands these things? I don't think it's, the one hand, I can say it wasn't meant to be. The other hand, maybe I had something to do with that. I do think that in general, you're not married by a certain age, let's say 25, that it gets more difficult than if you do get married younger, when you have opportunity, when there are more women, men around for each other than at any other time in their life. That's a better time when people have gone their separate ways, invested themselves in their careers or whatever, have had a lot of damage done in their relationships, in their life with other relationships, and then they're bitter, jaded, and they don't want to get married at all. That can be a tough thing too. So the journey, I'm glad you stopped in here tonight. It's getting a little bit late. I think for younger guys, the journey says it's easy for men to take their girlfriends for granted. For older guys, we have the gratefulness of Boaz if a younger woman accepts us into their lives. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. Take your girlfriend for granted. Because, like I just said, there's more opportunities when you're younger. So it's easier to maybe take them for granted. But boy, if you're going without one, it really sucks. And as an older guy who can take what I've learned from other people and studying, I can use that in my relationship. I didn't have this vacuum for 30 years and then get married. And I tried to be prepared for it because I thought every day, this could be the day I meet somebody. Well, it wasn't, for a very, very long time. But once it was, I was ready to dive in and make my mistakes like anyone else, try the things I've learned and go from there. But apologizing, asking for forgiveness, being patient, not controlling, thinking about her, being unselfish, being patient, believing in her, not overreacting. These are qualities that people need to have a successful relationship. Yeah, I am very grateful for Aiza. I love my wife. I love her dearly. I tell her many times, hon, I wish I wish there was more ways that I wish she could see inside how I feel about her. I should be able to show her how I feel with things that I do, things that I say. But still, it seems like there's a level in there where I can't quite get across how much I want to be good to her. So, she's happy with me. I'm happy with her. I don't expect perfection. You never want to get married expecting perfection. And I may not be as old as Boaz was. Interesting character. I wish we knew more about him and could separate fact from fiction. I don't know. Biblical account with Ruth and Boaz. Um, I just want. I think people need relationships. I think relationships are a great idea. God wasted no time after creating Adam. Within a day, He created Eve. That's it. And Adam didn't even get a choice. Do you want a girlfriend? Never mind that. Do you want a wife? Well, I'm going to give you a wife, whether you like it or not. And right away, and that's the kingpin of His creation. I think is man and mankind, man and women, man and woman, and the role that they have. And that's the type of thing I want to talk about in this channel, which is going to go against the grain of society. That's fine. So shoot me. I'm going to say what I think is right, what I think is truthful, what I think is best. And if that isn't accepted or received well, so be it. Nothing new. But I'm for all guys trying to find a wife. It may be easier in another country. There are scammers in the West. There are scammers overseas. Try to find somebody with similar values, somebody that's not showing a lot of, cleavage, stuff like that. And again, those questions that I talked about earlier that you can find somewhere in the channel, Love Beyond the Sea, will help you get to know somebody and probably move you to or against somebody more quickly than if you just kind of wing it on yourself or wing it by yourself, because you can get very complacent. Oh, I got to speak with this girl tonight or in the morning, and then I don't want to lose it, so I don't want to. It feels so good where we are. I don't want to ask anything to potentially risk it, but you almost have to take it to another level. You have to ask another level of questions to really see how serious this person is. But I got married in less than 8 weeks to this woman that was 9,800 flight miles away. I don't regret it for a minute. I'm just I must be doing something right. I'm trying to share what that might be throughout these videos. And I appreciate you gentlemen watching tonight and going back to work, and hopefully feeling more energetic. We'll be able to do more uploads and check out, if you will, up here. Well, you guys already know this, but the WordPress site, lovebeyondthesea.wordpress.com. Community Corner. I wish we had more people involved with that. A couple of message forums, Relationship Lounge, Lifestyle Lounge, and I can keep putting topics in there. We just need people to join in and to leave their thoughts. So I'll be patient, and maybe one of these days it'll be a place where people can gather and talk about their relationship with their foreign girlfriend. Just have to be patient. I mean, why not? Why not be patient? What do I got to lose? Hopefully that people will be going there. You can get direct messaging, or private messaging. There's even a way to set up video call there. I think it's a great WordPress blog site that Mr. E used his great acumen to put together. Very simple, easy to use place. It's got my Facebook and Twitter links on there. Aiza has a channel, but she really doesn't put stuff on there yet, but maybe she will one day. My articles are on there. Mr. E has some commentary on there. it's just another way. Even BitChute, he helped me get my channel on BitChute, which is slowly adding videos because we want this to get out there. And it may just take, 4 years of groundwork to try to get up to 1,000 subscribers so that the YouTube algorithm will be a little bit more favorable in making this channel available to people. Because, and I'm not complaining about this, but the way it's set up is the ones with the most views are going to get the recognition, they're going to get noticed, and you're just going to have to scratch, fight, and claw, unless you want to have a very, dramatic, controversial channel, which I don't want to have, to be able to be successful. So, 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 view hours or watch hours in a year. I think that's more difficult than the 1,000 subs. But we're trying different ways to get it out there in the internet land and the airwaves so people can learn about Love Beyond the Sea. And so appreciate you talking today about COVID-19 and its effect on long distance relationships. It certainly does. If you plan on jumping on a plane to see that woman you've been talking to, can't do it now. So I guess there'll be some pressure to try to maintain that relationship now that you can't see her. And so need to contact each other and spend ample time getting to know each other. And maybe you'll find out you're not meant to be. Maybe you'll find out you are. And as soon as this all blows over, you go to the Philippines and meet your woman or wherever she happens to be. And the journey asks, Bob, do you think the lockdowns will really end in April? And I suppose the answer to that question depends on how well this virus is kept under control. If, like some say, that it's worse than the numbers indicate, it could be longer. I know some people say, well, I don't believe anything will drastically change in the next month, maybe by the end of the year, maybe 9 months. Yeah, SARS, remember, came and went quickly. I don't really remember the SARS, to be honest with you. At this point, the journey, all we can do is watch the news. I mean, see what's going on. You're hearing that the recovery rate is getting better. Well, I hope you're right. I'm sure when I get back to work, I'll be able to talk to some of my coworkers, what's going on, what they're hearing. The news changes all the time. Let's get rid of that. That would be nice. That would be very nice. I think, we're prepared if we had to shut down until April sometime, but who knows? Who knows? Certainly a good time to pray for an end of this thing and a cure and test kits, which would help in isolation, and just pray that people would use common sense and follow the edicts that are being handed down, because they are meant to be helpful to the society to try to slow it down. And I hope you're right. I hope we're in April or May, we're doing videos saying, thankfully, that's all over. The airline industry is back up. People that had to cancel flights to the Philippines are now able to go, and that helps us all. I just got a call today from our financial advisor. I was wondering when they were going to talk, and they suggested some things we need to do differently for a while. And so I know it's a big deal with them, because they usually want you to ride things out, which I believe. But under the very unusual circumstances, they have to be a little extra cautious, I think, to not lose large amounts of money. So getting the airline industries back going would be good. I'd love to go back this year. I just don't think my wife's going to have the vacation. She went 3 times last year, so I think she's a little burned out from that. I would love to, though. The Philippines is kind of growing on me. It's more in my heart now. But I hope you're right, the journey. Just seeing Just eerie seeing parking lots empty and shelves empty. Never seen things like this. Y2K was nothing compared to this. Yeah, I noticed that. Just I've been home. I have to go to the doctor, go to get blood tests. It's like, where are all the people? Every day is like Sunday. Is this Sunday? Can't be. But then you get to the stores and there's nobody there. Little stores are closing, big stores, your gyms, labs are closing. Everybody seems to be closing for the time being. It's only temporary. So we'll see. I mean, it's affecting all of us. The topic tonight was about long distance relationships. We talked earlier about sending money to the Philippines. Hopefully that will not be stalled. Visa applications, if people aren't there to work on those, I don't see how that can not be having an effect, considering the vast number of these petitions that are out there. But who thinks of stuff like this? I'll put my paperwork out there, and then something like this will happen. And wow, I mean, people can call all they want to USCIS, but they might not be there taking calls. I guess you just have to communicate the very best that you can. JC, hello, JC. A new name here tonight, the 146 mark. We've been talking about COVID-19 and its effect on long distance relationships. JC, if you'd like to make a comment before I head out, could possibly address that. And down in spirits, well, we're okay. I mean, I've been home for 14 days. I went to the ER and they swabbed me a couple times and said, you have the human metapneumovirus. The pneumo has to do with coughing. And while it doesn't seem bad right now, I mean, I swallowed some more powerful codeine, which doctors don't even like to give you anymore. But I said to my doctor, I've been coughing most of 2 years. We got to try something. So, and I'll take some more tonight. Boy, it knocked me out. And then what in the world is that other med? We just started it. It's a burst taper. I've taken it lots of times. Kind of puts your body in motion to fight off this invader, whatever it is, but then it leaves you vulnerable to getting sick. I cannot believe I cannot think of the top of the name of that med, but I can't. Prednisone, that's it. Psychological prednisone. I think if you add us three a day for 3 days, 2 a day for 3 days, 1 a day for 3 days, half a day for 3 days, and it's supposed to last like 21 days before it's all over. And I've used this stuff in the past for things, and it does work. You just can get sick from it. So I've been kind of locked up for 14 days. Haven't worked on the channel much because I've just been so tired. And when you're coughing a lot, and I'm not that bad right now, so maybe that stuff worked or will work. Yeah, I didn't get much done. I'm just glad I have a wife to spend this time with when she gets home. Great, I've got her. So I want to get back to work, or I think I would be getting down in spirits. I feel like I've missed a lot of work. It's legit, but I'd like to get back to work, even though I'm probably not going to be over it. Whatever. Doctor said you might be coughing for a few more months still. Oh, that's great. JC says it's pretty calm here in Ontario, Canada. Grocery stores are decent, maybe pushing near half. They must be getting restocked pretty fast, JC. I know there's been a lot of hectic craziness with buying things all over here. It just depends when you go. I mean, my wife could go at one time and say it's all emptied out and go to 5 stores and can't find anything. I could go out, and one of the places she went, and all of a sudden they deliver toilet paper. But it is rationed now. That's probably, I don't know if they're rationing in Canada, but here, yeah, there is some rationing of toilet paper, for example. So that should help it to last. I don't know why it took so long to put rations on that. I really don't know. I don't own a business, but I guess as a business owner, you want to see the shelves empty if you can get them stocked up fast enough. But I don't know. This is just all brand new, how it's going to affect everybody. Yeah, there's store variation in time. Um, they're going to want to get it restocked. I have a cousin that drives a truck. They just laid off people, and so that's all part of the business of getting supplies to stores. That's why it's kind of important to keep an open mind about stocking up. It doesn't mean you're panicking. It just means you're trying to be prepared and ready for what might be a shutdown. I'm bracing any day now for them to say here in Nebraska, well, nobody's working for 2 or 3 weeks. So get out there and get your meds, get your gasoline, uh, uh, get everything you need to stay put for a while. The economy has taken a noticeable hit, and it starts with the airlines and the hotels, anything related to that. The travel business, you got your what do they call it? Out on the water, yachts. That's not what they call it. I keep thinking of the Love Boat. These tours on water. Everything. It's affecting the travel industry. Is really getting killed. And I know Trump is talking about loading a lot of money in there, and I suppose you can still fly somewhere domestically anyway, for a lot cheaper, I suppose. Well, continue with your music. JC, that's one thing I haven't done as much as I should have. Thank you for the thumbs up. And that's listen to music. Because I haven't been working on my channel as much, I haven't been listening to music, which is what I like to do when I'm working on it. So I think that's a good advice for me and all of us. Find your favorite music to listen to. And thanks for stopping by. And I need to do the same thing. Thanks for the thumbs up. Small gathering, small intimate gathering tonight, but I should have said at the outset, on live streams, we are not limited to 10 people. We have no social distancing limits of like 6 feet here on the live streams. So the next time I do one, the rules still be the same. We got plenty of room here, lots of chairs, no limits, and I should probably have been more clear about that when I started this live stream. So that's it. Just wanted to talk about the coronavirus. It's not really affecting us here that much where we live, and but it is affecting people who have a relationship going with somebody in the Philippines. It might be impacting the ability to process visas and hopefully not send money over there, but maybe affecting your Filipinas family in the Philippines. So that's kind of the topic here. So I'm grateful for you guys to stop by and talk about this tonight. It's Friday night. I'm sure you've got good things to do, like JC does, to hit that music. And we will speak to you the next time, whenever. Sign up for the newsletter. I'll let you know when the next live stream is. The link is at the top. Otherwise, watch for uploads from Love Beyond the Sea.